what we draw. And I'm like, oh, and she said, but it taught me something. I had to rethink the way I was presenting it. If it's art, it should be freedom of expression. Because he would be just adamant about, I don't want to color it. I want it to stay like this. I want it to stay shaded gray, black and white. I want and he would do, sometimes he would make it gradient of different shades of gray. He didn't want to add any color. He wanted it to be just like that for those particular projects. And she said, now, my next session for the next quarter, I want to do it a little differently. I'm going to allow them to be free in their expression. But all along, she said her own stuff like he didn't follow direction.
Yeah.
What is going on? And he's like, well, I didn't want it. If it's art, and he's being just really matter of fact about it. Like, if it's art, I want it to be like this. It's my art. And so, to your point, we start to adapt this behavior and these thought processes early on. And I keep telling people, I think the best thing that we could do for children, and maybe it's just ahead of our time, maybe it should have been done a long time ago, but people are like, no, everyone, it's interesting because we grew up with certain eras of being told certain ways to do things, how, who to do it for, and it's not about you, and all these different things have been pretty much drilled into our heads. Not so much of be a great person, allow things to flow naturally through you so that you can bring forth what God has put in you in a natural, organic state, right? Instead of it being like that, we're like, no, you should do it like that. And matter of fact, to make you feel really how we feel about you doing it like that, we're going to put a standardized system in place and try to get everybody to conform to this way. And so those who can conform properly get the higher marks, and those who can't get the lower marks. And it does something to a person's spirit over the duration of their lives. And so when I'm looking at this, and you start really just hearing stories, that's why I'm listening to people's stories all the time, those who have kind of gone against the grain. And you see these quotes, and with social media, you're able to see people post these different things about, I'm taking my power back. I am now doing what God has called me to do. I'm operating in my purpose. And it's kind of like turning their paradigm in a different direction to go in the way that they've always known that they should have gone in the first place. And I'm just saying, like, now, if we could start instilling that in children early on, we would get much further ahead as the human race. There's so much more to explore, but when you have everybody operating within these boxes, they'll do it this way. This way we've always done it. And it's like there's no progress. But I feel like this next generation, these kids have so much in them. They are so wise. They are so smart. If we just allow them to be, there'll be so much more impact from a personal standpoint, developmental standpoint, with just the individual and being as a society, because if individuals are further ahead, their society can't help but to progress even further, because you have that unity of that energy of progress, and not, hey, everybody conform to this one way. And so I'm just like, so what you were studying this morning, and it kind of goes hand in hand with what I was looking at this morning, which is talking about water. There's so much information that they don't even understand about water. All you could do is just look at the behavior of it and try to mimic it. But what has happened in many times when it comes to technology, people try to use technology to replace nature, when really technology should only really mimic it versus try to replace it. It says our bodies are over 70% water, and you can actually record music in water. You can record, there's so many things that can happen. It records frequency. It records, so much data can be stored in water. In water.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking about the water as we see it, you get a bottle of water and it's like, oh, let me see if there's, no, that's actually still taking it out of its natural state. Like now they're starting to see because of all of this plastic, and I know we didn't ask about this, but with all of this plastic, that they're starting to find plastic in people's blood. Look
Hmm.
it up.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
And it's like, so I'm just being conscious, and I'm just really on a journey of just self-knowledge. And so the better I understand me, the better I understand nature, the better I understand other people, and this whole purpose of even being here on this earth for this time period. So I'm on this whole thing of how do I do my part? So with all of that, the information that is stored in water, even the water that comes through our pipes, that is water, but it goes through so much forced movement in those pipes that it takes away that natural flow. That's why in certain countries they put water in a vessel and they let it sit so that it can get back to its original state, because water is so intelligent. Water is so intelligent because it picks up and it records everything. So if that's the case, then when it goes through those pipes, it records all the information and the bins and all of that, then it goes through those pipes. But when it's naturally flowing through like a stream or a spring or a creek, it's the best. And they say that you really supposed to physically touch your water before you ingest it. You're supposed to like hold it with both hands. You're supposed to pray over it. You're supposed to like use your both hands to like just really transfer your energy into the water and then ingest it because of your gratitude for it. And if you think about it, water is the only thing that can go from one side of the world to the other side of the world because it's constantly flowing. Right? Just water is just moving, and water is so strong and powerful. Like it can save a life, but it can drown a life. Water is so powerful, and so I'm just really deep diving into just the power of water, the characteristics, the behavior of water, because we're over 70% water. So if water records information, our bodies record information. And most of our organs, each one is over 70% water. So your heart, you have your liver, your kidneys, all these different things, it needs water. But it's not necessarily the water that you would get out of a bottle. We get water from our fruits and vegetables, and that's the water that we're supposed to really consume a lot of, because the molecular structure is small enough, it's H3O2, and it goes into the cells, and it feeds the cells, and it gives us information, and it gives us everything that we need as far as nutrition, like everything. And they're talking about like soil conservation now because the big heavy machinery, and they're talking about just how we're drying up, like the soil. The soil is different. My mom was saying like certain things used to grow in Mississippi because it just naturally with all of the technology, it's actually extracting water from the earth, and how we are now cultivating the land. There's certain fruits and vegetables that don't even grow. Like she was just, because I was talking to her about water, I'm just like a big nerd at this point, just like, oh, I'm spilling it all out. And she was like, it's interesting that you say that, because now there are certain fruits and there are certain vegetables, I know she said 3 I can name, that no longer grow in the region that used to grow. It just doesn't grow anymore. Like the soil and the soil content that's needed to, actually produce that particular vegetable, it's not there. I'm just like, oh my God, what are we doing? And so I feel like I'm just on this mission, like to get all of this information, just share it as I come across it. But what we do is to make sure that, A, that we understand, and B, that we do our part, like with simple stuff like recycling. Because if they're dumping these empty plastic containers into the ocean, and the water flows from the sea to the ocean to the lake, and we're consuming this water, then that's how it's getting into our bodies. But the interesting thing is our bodies are so intelligent that it will adapt. But what does that adaptation look like? So there's a lot of information out there. When you know better, you do that on a personal level, and then you hand that information down for generations that come behind you, and just to just for the allowance of just what could be, not just going along with what is or what could be. What if we did? You know, some people are like, little old me, my one household recycling, it won't make a difference. Well, if 100,000 households felt the same way, then, you know, you could make more of an impact than what you think. And just being conscious of it. People come over here and they throw plastic bottles in the garbage. I'm like, no, put it over there in the plastic. There's at Jewel, they actually have a container where you can bring plastic bags, and that's all they want in there, just plastic bags. And so I keep them, and they're like, oh, you know, those go in the garbage. I'm like, no, I'm going to actually take time out of my day to put those bags over there where they're accepting the bags, because they're doing something with them. I don't want them to go in the garbage into the landfill. Like, we just have to do our part, you know, if we care. And so, anyway, so, you know, other people's opinion and doing what other people feel, like you were saying, good on other people, with a group. That's got to be
good opinion of other people.
Good opinion of other people. So it's the same way, and I think that our body's natural instinct tells us what we should do, like every turn of the way. But somehow these teachings that have been passed down from generation to generation, from people who thought they knew and was only taught what they were taught, it's passed down in a part of you in your soul. That's why so many people feel like they gotta heal. I see healing all over the place. Everybody's like, I'm healing, and everybody's healing. And I think you heal, and you get healed, and you be healed once you claim and decide that you are healed. But all of that stuff is just passed down. And I think sometimes we defend the curse when we say, well, you know, my parents whooped me, and I turned out all right. And it's like, well, you know, sometimes you have to take a step back and say, well, did you? Did it help us, or does it hurt? Just little things of, you know, parents just saying, you know, I'm just going to make you do this because I told you to. The kids are just sitting there like, you know, but that doesn't make any sense. Only because they ask a question, you got kids who getting straight up beat up. Just ask them a question. And an adult will look at it like they trying to talk back or being smart. And they're just like, no, I'm just asking a question. Like, I'm really just asking a question. And you know, instead of just saying, I don't know, that's a good question. You know, when you find out, let me know. You shut them down. You know, I just think that we could do better as a culture. And, you know, it's just stay in personal development. Like you were saying, just with everything, just to become better stewards of not only the body that we take on as our temple when we come to the earth, but also, you know, take care of the earth. We were watching the day the earth stood still, and one of the aliens came, and at first I was like, all right, I ain't watching it. And I sat down for a minute when one of the aliens was sitting there talking. He looked like a regular person, but, you know, he was alien, quote unquote. And you can find that anywhere you want to. And he said, well, I didn't come to save the humans, because humans are the ones that's jacking it up, but I'm here to save the planet, because the planet has been around longer than the humans. I'm trying to make sure that the earth is good. You know, I'm trying to protect the earth from the humans. And I was like, wow, like, there's a concept. And one of the guys said, well, why don't you go back? He said, because I've been here so long, I'm actually getting used to it, and I'm starting to appreciate my human experience on the earth. And I was like, wow, there's a concept. There's a concept. What if we all took it on that same attitude? You know, let's make sure that we protect the earth and leave it good for the next generation. That's what Elon, that's why he works as hard as he does. He's like, I'm not doing this for the money. I don't care that that I teeter between 1 to 3 and the world's richest men. I'm trying to make sure that for the generations to come, because we tearing this earth up, because he's well studied. Everybody's like, oh, people get enamored, he's one of the richest men in the world. He's one of the richest people in the world. And he's like, he's like, most of the money that I make, I put it back into my companies. Because we really have to be conscious of how we are treating the earth. We want to leave it better than how we're treating it right now. We want to leave it better that's the last thing, if that's the least thing we could do for the next generation coming, is time well spent. And I'm just like, man, we just gotta do better. You do better when you know better. It does nothing to get the information. You do nothing with it, right? So, at least start moving in that direction to, one plastic bottle at a time, or one can at a time, recycle the bags, or not get the plastic bags at all. I don't know where this is always coming from. Somebody needs to hear it. Going to the store with your cloth bag. And just doing those little things, doing our own little part. Like I mentioned before about the documentary called Kiss the Ground, and it talks about soil preservation. Because it's a lot of, it's dried up. And so now what they want to do is move everybody into this direction of these, and they don't even call them GMO foods anymore. They call it bioengineered. Hold on. Yeah, they call it bioengineered. Yeah. So say goodbye to GMOs. So just an FYI. So when you go in the stores, if you're looking to see on the paper, on the packaging, if it says GMO, just pay attention. They even said, you can wait till people buy. Now you just put it on the packaging what people are eating. Most people not even gonna read what they put in their body. They're just gonna eat it, right? They're just gonna assume that because it passed the FDA that we're safe, blah blah blah. The new term for foods created with a boost from science is bioengineered as of January 1, 2022. Food manufacturers, importers, and retailers in the U.S. must comply with the new national labeling standard for food that's been genetically modified in a way that isn't possible through natural growth. You follow what I'm saying? And so while we can't, infiltrate the FDA and all the things that's happening on that level, you can definitely make decisions at the local level and within your own household to make some changes. Like you go to the local farmer's market, just start being conscious of what you're putting in your body and what you are doing to the earth. And water has a lot to do with that. The water conservation, there's so many different things that we could do to conserve the earth, conserve the soil, conserve our own bodies, conserve our own mental health. A lot of that stuff play a part. And now they're starting to do the research and they're starting to see that a lot of this stuff plays a part on mental health. So all this stuff ties together. We were talking about personal development. And there's so many different things. And just moving forward every day, instead of going with what's been normalized, this is how it's always been done, try to feel your spirit out. That's why early in the morning, praying and meditating and just meditating on the word and understanding what God says about your health and your body, your temple, and moving forth throughout your day, with that in your spirit and let that guide you on the decisions that you make. But not just yourself, but also your family. Like one of the things that we do around here now, we have fruit. We're eating fruit first thing in the morning because that's the best time for your body to receive fruit and to digest it properly. If you put fruit in your body after you eat meat, then now you're basically fermenting and you can set a bacteria in your body. You ever seen fruit, like leave some fruit on the counter and watch it till you start seeing this little white furry stuff? It's bacteria. Okay? And the same thing because it starts to heat up and it starts to ferment in your body. So it's just different things that as you know better and start studying to become, to have the best experience that you can while you're here. So yeah, fruit first thing in the morning. Shouldn't eat fruit after you've been eating. That's why some people say, well, I have a fruit diet and, I eat fruit in the evening, I eat fruit, and then they're eating it along with all this bioengineered food that says that it's vegan and it's, and it's like, I can't believe it's not meat and all these meat substitutes. Well, what is it? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't eat meat, but what is the meat substitute? What is it? Some of this stuff, we're just like, what? I'm almost like, look, I'd rather eat meat because I know what the meat is versus eating this meat substitute because that's not real food. And I think it was Warren Buffett. I know y'all didn't ask about this, but I'm gonna stop in a minute. But Warren Buffett, nope. Bill Gates was talking about whether Bill Gates, and he was saying that most of the food will be bioengineered. Like most of the food that we will eat in years to come will be created in the lab. He was like, because that's the direction that we're going. Because most of it all goes back to that soil and the water. It's tampered. And we talked about this on our call with TLC. How they're not rotating the crop, how they're depleting the nutrients out of the soil. There's so many different things. We're talking about these pesticides and insecticides. All that stuff goes into it's part of the biomechanism of what happens under the soil. You need all of that, all of the critters. It's all part of the ecosystem of what happens, and you're killing it off. So you're taking away a really critical part of what needs to happen with the soil, and there in turn, what happens with the food. And if you don't get that right, then our bodies are gonna just not be as strong as they could be. Like they did a study saying that now, this like the last season or so with football players, they had more injured football players than ever before. Why did that come from? I'm just saying. Maybe it's this 5 year we're exposed to. I don't know. Maybe it's all this other food substitutes that we're eating. That it's just so much going on, man. But just become more, observant and more conscious of what we're doing and how we're operating on a personal as well as a local and then national and global level. I think that's the best thing that we could do for ourselves and our fellow humans now and the generations to come. So that's kind of like what I've been diving into lately. Just, man, let's just do better. Let's just do better. Let's just do better. So if anybody else has anything else they want to share, I'll turn it over.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. You come and you bring so much information, and you feel like you dealing with goop. There's so much you got to kind of wade through it. Thank you, Lord. But that's really good. You talked about the water. You talked about fruit eating. You talked about the recycling. You talked about uh, beginning to personally develop. You talked about the power of eating fruit at the right time, and timing is important. And I tell you, I was telling Dr. K that I was listening to a speaker this morning, and he was saying to stay away from the goop, and that's the good opinion of other people. And it's not that you don't want to hear people with any good things, but if that is more important to you, like even as she's talking about recycling and taking your bag to the store with you, and making sure that you understand the power of water, and how powerful what water does. And when you're focusing on trying to please people and not doing these things because that's the way you've done it, that's the way your mama did it, that's the way your mama's mama did it, and so on and so forth, you know, and you just don't do it because you don't see even other people doing it. What you're doing is having a great effect on what's happening with all of us. So you think the thing that you're doing in your house doesn't matter. You may think it doesn't. And this is, I'm going to go back to that personal development, the message I was listening to about 3 o'clock this morning. I was listening to it, and it was Peter Sage, and he was talking about when you don't stay away from the goop, the good opinion of other people. And his word was stop swimming in the goop, GOOP, the good opinion of other people. And he was saying when you don't do that, you make decisions based on fear and scarcity. instead of growth, contribution, cooperation, and abundance. So he kind of reminded me of something that Dr. Dentley talks about as well, but he was saying that other people don't see you as the star in their movie. She said, and when you are seeing the other people in other people's movie or in other people's lives, you are a film extra. And so when you make decisions based on what other people are thinking that what worrying about how they're feeling or worrying about what they think about you literally are swimming in the goop. You're not flowing like free water in the world because your focus is off and you're seeing and making the people more important than even who God made you. I love how Dr. Kara talked about her son, Caden, how he was doing art in art class and he was doing his own thing. And the teacher was saying he's not following instructions. He's not doing what what I'm instructing him basically to do. And Caden was saying, well, that's not the way I see it. It's my art. So Caden is one of those that's not swimming in the goop because he's freely expressing himself. And when you caught up in the impressions of what other people think about you, your life becomes, look, let me give you the definition of goop. Your life becomes sloppy or sticky because you're not true to who you are. And God created you for something extraordinary. And if you are so busy being afraid or living from the mindset, I don't have it, I can't have it, I don't see it, it's not going to happen, you're you're literally clouded. You are absolutely sticky. I don't know how else to say it. Then he said, you got to recognize that you may see yourself as a star of your own movie, but others see you as a film extra in their movie, in their life. And the wonderful thing I thought he said too was he said, very few people care enough about you to give you an opinion because they're too busy worrying about what they think you might think of them. And when we focused on what do they think about me, how do they feel about me, how do I do what they're doing, how do I measure up, how do I fit in, you're swimming in the goop. And that goop is actually robbing all of us of the beauty that you exude to the world, that you're meant to exude to the world. So, as Dr. K was saying this morning, water, the power of water. Water is clear. Water is pretty much clean. It looks like it to us anyway. It's clear. We see through it. And if you're fluid and flowing and allowing your life to move as freely as water flows, I'm not talking about hurting anybody or doing anything inappropriate. I'm talking about the free expression of who you are. When you're operating from that dynamic, you make the world a better place. So just bring it all in together. Let's stop focusing on how people think about us, what people think about us. Because the first thing is, you're already extraordinary. You're extraordinary the day you were born. And you're just becoming better and better as time goes on. So allow the allow the beauty of who you are to be released to the world because you matter. And what you do matters. You're being true to yourself, being your authentic self helps the world to become a better place. And he said, so when you become free enough to stop worrying about what people think about you, people pleasing, then now I'm adding this part. Your life is an expression of hope for other people because you're operating in your true, authentic self. You're operating in the capacity for which you were created instead of trying to find a square peg to fit into a round hole. You don't fit. So for those of us that are out here that are even saying, I don't fit in, you weren't designed to fit in. You were designed to be the you that you are. Don't get so lost in they don't accept me. It doesn't, I'm not like them. I did that and I tried. It didn't work for me. Be the beautiful you that you are. And listen, when you're free to be the beautiful you that you are and stop worrying about who's thinking what about you or how they feel about you, and just be the expression of God's beauty to the world. Now it's your turn to step on the stage of life, swing hard, and help other people become more hopeful. Because you stood up, other people will stand up too. So stop swimming in the goop and let's go to the clear, free flowing water. And just be clear about who you are. And let you be your best self. Because when you show up, God shows up. Because he's on the inside of you. So that's just a little bit further on the thoughts from what you were saying and what I heard this morning. Dr. K, anybody want to add anything? Okay.
That's good. That's good. And I like that with Goose. He said the good opinion of others. That means it's not that it's bad. The good opinion of others. It just might not be suitable for you at this time. I always say at this time because it may be applicable at a later time and maybe just not right now. Maybe it's not right now. So then there will be less stress in people if they didn't try to operate within the group. There would be more love in the world because you wouldn't have people saying, well, I'm mad at this person because they didn't do this when I wanted them to do it, right? Or the flip side, I'm mad at this person because they tried to make me do something when I didn't want to do it. Or the fact that I didn't want to do it, I was trying to get my son. I said, look, we're about to get out of the car. He said, well, can I stay in here and just eat my food? I just want to relax. And we have this thing, we go back and forth saying, I love you more. No, I love you more. I said, well, what happened to I love you more? And I'm thinking I got the upper hand. I'm like, so come on, get out the car. You know, like, so the fact that you're trying to get me to do something that you want me to do, what happened to your I love you more? You trying to make me do what you want me to do, so that means that I don't love you more? And I just kind of looked at him and was like, you know what, you just too smart for your own good. Because we just go back and forth. But I was trying to use that like, well, you need to come in the house because I want you to come in now. And he was like, I'm just relaxing. I just want quietness. It's quiet. I'm comfortable. And I just sit here and just chill. I'm like, what happened to? He was like, so if I do it the way you want me to do it, does that mean? And like, so what happened to? You trying to put that on me, but what happened to just, like, can I just be comfortable? That has nothing to do with either way, then you kind of like not get this little head now, like, see what I'm saying? Go ahead, sit in, put your go ahead, chill. Just go ahead, chill, and when he finished, he opened the door, came on in the house, like, hey, I'm in here. He just went, right out of school. This is just funny. He just so comfortable. And I just sit in this place of just nothingness and you're just be quiet. I was like, yeah. Why, what would be the big deal? Why run for the feathers? What's the big deal? It wasn't a big deal. And I just let it flow. I just like, all right, go ahead. But either way, came on in the house, like, hey, what's up? Sometimes you have to just take the time and just say, well, what's the big deal? Why am I pushing up against the grain? Why? And parents, we do it, and sometimes we do it subconsciously. Sometimes we do it because it was done to us, forcing everything. Do it because I said so. And if you do, that's back so. You're not doing what I want you to do. And so we get into this thought process, this group. And sometimes it's not even that deep. It's not even that deep. And sometimes we get into this power struggle that, no, I'm going to make you do it because I said so. I'm like, you know what? I'm just smooth sailing, baby. Look, it's cool. You got a point. Why can't you just sit in here and chill? I had my days like that. Just sitting in the car, and I just sit in here for a minute. It's quiet. I'm just one right now with just the air, and I'm good. It's quiet. let me just, he's taking tests this week in school, and I just, all of that, and took all of that into consideration, and I was like, you know what? Go ahead. Go ahead, chill. And it's like, thank you, Mom. See? And sometimes it happens in relationships, friendships, business, peers, parents, siblings, neighbors. We just and then it escalates because I see it, because I want it, and now because you said no, you're giving me pushback. Now you're pushing up against the grain. Now I'm snatching you out the top, right? Some parents would have been like, what? You ain't? Sometimes we just gotta just take a step back and just look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture. Sometimes it's not that deep. Sometimes we start wars. It's not that deep. So with that being said, if anybody has the affirmation that I have to get to up here and to
Amen. We are thanking God for Dr. Kara, Lady Dr. Kara Scott Dentley. And this is her empowerment call Tuesday through Friday. She's the one that saw the vision and began to run with it. And we're just following along with after her lead and letting God have his way Tuesday through Friday. And this is at 8 a.m. Central Standard. You can call in 302-202-1110. On Tuesday, we are so blessed to have Sir Dr. James Dentley to do the call, to host the call. And he's been just hitting it hard, just doing an awesome job as he always does. Bring your pen and paper when you come. And Wednesday is usually the day that I spearhead, and Thursday is Thankful Thursday. And Rita just talked about life. And today, Friday, is usually Mr. Mindset, Lavelle Faulkner. But Dr. Kara she just hit it out the ballpark. Recycling, water, personal development, fruit. She brought so many wonderful GMO, plastic. She brought so many wonderful insights today. It's just a blessing to us all. So go back and listen to it if you didn't hear from the beginning. And she also created the affirmations. She woke up in the wee hours of the morning, and this is what she wrote down what she heard. I like to say that Holy Spirit inspired, because that's what he does. I am wonderfully and beautifully made. I am a builder. I accomplish everything I set out to accomplish. I am a winner. I set high standards. I am more than a conqueror. I am a creator. I am made in the likeness and in the image of God, and God creates. Therefore, I create. I am what God says I am. I'm a child of God. No weapons formed against me shall prosper. I am sent by God. I will accomplish all that God has for me. I want what God wants for me. Wow. This got to stay away from the goop all over it. I will consult God with every decision for my life. I will keep company with the wise. I will have wise conversations. I am healthy. I have more than enough to cover my wants. God is my source. He will continue to supply all my needs according to his riches and glory, and I shall receive according to my faith. So, in those areas I needed most, help me to increase my faith. My mind, body, and spirit are miracles from God. I do not take them for granted. God, I thank you for everything, all of the lessons and all of the blessings. My faith is strong. My faith does not waver. My hope is in the will and the word of God. That is my foundation. I have peace that transcends all understanding. I know that God is faithful and his word is true in my life. I am forgiven and therefore I forgive others. I am enough and you are enough. And together we will go out in the world and make a difference. Dr. Kara Scott Dentley. Thank you so much. Wow, what a word. So thank everybody for joining us this morning. Share this live. Somebody needs to hear about being your authentic self and hear about when you eat fruit, when you eat fruit first thing in the morning. Wow, she said so much. It was just really, she said a lot. Dr. K said a whole lot. So does anybody else have anything else they want to add? Well, we'll be back here Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. With Sir Dr. James Dentley. May God's riches and best be yours. Have a great day and good morning. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend.
Wonderful weekend. Yes. Amen.
Be back on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes. The doctor with Sir Dr. James. That's my name. That's your name, baby. That's your name. He walking around here without the walker, didn't even realize he didn't have a walker.
What you say?
Yeah, won't he do it?
That's right. That's right. Okay.
He looked at me and said, I don't have one. Am I just walking around here? Hey, Dr. how you doing?
Hey, doing good. How are you, sir?
Wonderful. Outstanding.
I can hear that. All right.
Getting ready for amazing spring. Getting ready to do my rehab on a long club.
Okay. All
Doing what I
right.
got to do.
Yes, we're going to keep on. Listen, Eddie Kendrick said, keep on trucking, baby. Keep on trucking, Dr. D. Okay.
All right.
All right. God bless. Thank you. Good to hear your voice.